Good afternoon, everybody. This is Joseph Land, and welcome to the Joseph Land Show on a March the 6th, 2023. Can you imagine? We're already in the third month of the first quarter, and I know you guys are doing great, having great success, and God is blessing you all. And I'm so honored to be your friend and to be a part of this with you. And we're going to have a great show today. I want to talk to you about some of the life lessons that I've learned. And I hope you'll have time to take some notes today. And I want to tell you a story, and then I want to give you an opportunity. So that's the way it's going to go today. So anybody who would like to say hello to me today? How you doing out there on internet land?
Hello, Joseph.
Thank you guys. It's great to be a part of. Great to be a part of. Anybody got any good reports for us today?
I don't have any bad reports, so sometimes that's just as good, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, my wife was going to join us today, but she felt like she was getting a bad cold, and we were concerned about her. And so we both started taking some ivermectin. You guys know what that is? And she's fine today, and I'm fine today. And I just claim that no weapon formed against us will prosper. And I claim that 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, and it won't come near us, right? And so we're doing good today, and we're excited. And so we're in Jacksonville, and we're getting ready to go home here after this call. So how are you doing today, Jerry Llewellyn?
Thanks for asking, Joseph. I'm doing great this morning. I also woke up with some sniffles and took my ivermectin. So we're on the same page, and it's a really great stuff. And of course, the hydroxychloroquine is something else that I do take prophylactically. So let me just say that I walked out on the porch this morning. I drink a quart of water in the morning as part of the cleansing routine that I do. And I sat out there, and there was something unusual happening. The squirrels were doing their thing. You know, these squirrels jump from tree to tree and tree to tree to tree to tree. And it actually is, as I was watching them, they're totally miraculous what they're able to do, the strength that they have, their ability to jump from one tree to another and hit on the exact spot that they're working for. It's just a miracle. God's miracle of his nature is just incredible. And of course, we're right at the season where we're beginning where the birds are chirping, the cardinals are out, and the deer are out, moseying around. So it was just a delightful morning to start the day. And, I think about you in the morning because of your morning discipline that you have shared with me. And I really deeply appreciate your love and support. So thanks.
Thank you, Jerry. What a great report. It's amazing to sit out and enjoy an early morning like that, isn't it? Really cool.
Very
really
much.
Cool. I was sitting in the lobby of this hotel this morning doing my devotionals, and this lady asked me what I was reading. I thought it was beautiful. I said, thank you for asking me. Now she got a Jesus calling. But anyway, isn't it a great morning? It's just a great day to be alive, and I'm excited about life, and I'm excited about all you guys. Bridget, how are you doing today?
Hi, Joseph and everyone. I'm doing very well. I did my Tai Chi Kung at the lake this morning, so that was nice as well. And I don't have anything to report because right now I just feel like I need to take care of myself, take a time out because I moved countries twice. So,
Yes.
But I'm happy to be here with you all.
Good. Well, we're honored to have you with us, and we love you, and thank you for joining us today. How about you, Doug? How are you doing today, Doug Sherman?
Doing very good. Very good. I think nothing's really happening big as far as business goes, but I think this is the month I'm probably going to make a substantial investment back into crypto by the end of the month. That's what it's looking at right now.
All right.
Other than that, I'm just doing my morning routines, working with my children, And that's
Good.
been my life here for the last couple of months.
No, that's great. That's great. Well, thank you for joining us today. Dave, how
Oh,
you
thank
doing today? Dave, how you doing today?
Great. Thank you.
How's your business going?
We're going through some changes, trying to route what we've been doing, and we think we're going to get into some the artificial turf is really starting to take off at the residential levels, high-end residential. So we're looking into that. We're looking for property to be able to warehouse that. So kind of reformatting the business a little bit. It'll take some time.
That's great. That is really great. Well, that's what happens in a business, right?
Yeah.
I was telling someone recently, in my businesses, I never talk about making changes. I want you to remember this. I never talk about making changes because people don't like change. And so what I do is I ask the associates that I'm working with, I'd say, let me ask you a question. Do you ever think, I said, do you think Apple is a good company or Tesla? Some of those people, they said, oh yeah, of course. I said, do you ever think they make enhancements to their business model? And they said, yeah, of course. And I said, well, do you think every good business probably makes enhancements to their business model? And they said, of course. And I said, well, gosh, we need to make a few enhancements. What do you think about this? And when you give it to people that way, they receive it. But if you say, hey man, we got to make some changes here, we can't do things the way we used to do it, they don't receive that, right? That's the old school way of doing things. People don't receive that. People receive edification and encouragement and that you care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Remember that saying? And so we want people to know that we love them and we care for them, and that we're going to make enhancements that not only will better the company, but better their lives too, and their position with the company. So Dave, that's what you're doing, making some enhancements, right?
Absolutely.
Good. Well, great to have you with us today. I want to give you guys some life lessons I've learned. Write these down. I want you to write these down. We're going to talk about them. All right. I want to give you a few life lessons. All right. The first thing I want to tell you is, in my younger self, I thought that you had to impress people with stuff that you had. What's that old saying? Buying stuff with money that you don't have to impress people that really don't like you. Isn't that the truth? And so, you know what I've determined that life is about? Life is about being real. Life is about being humble. Life is about being kind. It is. And when you can, it's like the lady sitting in the lobby this morning when she came up to me and asked me what I was reading. In my being kind to her, turned her on to reading the same devotional that I'm reading, and you run into rude people all the time, but you know what, if you just love on them and you're nice to them, it just turns them around. Would you guys agree with that? And so life is not about all the stuff and all of that, and success is really not about money. Success to me is about the impact you have on others' lives for good. Right. So that's what I want to be. I want to be an influencer in people's lives for good. I want to use the hard learning lessons that I've had to teach somebody else what I've learned, so that they don't have to experience the same pitfalls. Does that make sense? So life is about being real. Life is about being humble, and life is about being kind. Being real. Show me someone who hasn't had some issues or problems in their life, and I'll show you someone I don't want to be in business with, because I don't want to learn on their curve, right? But show me someone who's been beat down 3 or 4 times and they're getting back up and they're ready to fight some more. Hey, that's the person I want to lock arms with, right? And we all get beat down in life because things happen in life, and we need people to encourage us in our life. And so the Joseph Land Show is all about encouraging you and telling that you can, and you can be anything you want to be. Number 2, if I treated everyone the way that they treated me, then there would probably be some people upset with me. Right? But I choose not to be that way. I choose to treat everybody that I come in contact with that same word, love. You know? And so when you're able to stop what you're doing, I'll give you an example. My wife and I were sitting here where we were, and we were having lunch, and she wasn't feeling well. And this little server came up to me and started talking to us and asked me what I did. And I was just very kind and nice to him. And see, this is key. I want you to hear this. And so he said, do you have a business card? And I gave him my business card. He went back. We were sitting on the patio of this restaurant. He went back inside. He Googled me. He looked at my website. He looked at I played baseball. He came back out there and recited everything about me. He recited more about me than I even knew myself. You know? And I said, I am totally impressed with you. He said, Mr. Land, he says, I'm impressed with you. He said, you're such a gentleman and so kind to me. He said, I had no idea that you had done some of these things. And then I shared, he says to me, he says, what do you think is your key to success? And I said, putting God first. And I had a whole dialogue with him about my faith and all of that. And see, if you want to really be kind to people, sometimes God will open the door if you just go along with it and you show kindness to that person. And so he texted me. He had my number, of course, on his card. So he texted me and he said, here's my number, Mr. Land. I'd like to stay in touch with you. And I sent him one of my favorite scriptures that was Jeremiah 29:11-13. And it says, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. And then you will come call on me and I will listen to you. You know, that verse. And he responded to me and said, that is my favorite scripture in the Bible. And that's something. You never know the impact you are going to have on someone's life unless you're bold in what you do. And so I treated this little guy named Jay with love. And I'm telling you, he's getting his real estate license. I'm telling you, this guy's going to be successful in his life. And what I've learned, item number 2, talking about loving people and not responding to people. If someone's rude to you, don't respond in a rude way. Someone's rude to you, just say, well, thank you, have a nice day, and I love you, you know, whatever. But my response to this young man encouraged him. My wife said, he is walking 3 feet taller than when he came out to serve our table. Isn't that amazing? And so who can we impact for good today? People talk about, oh, how terrible our world is. Hey, man, there's a lot of opportunities in our world to be a blessing to people. Our world's getting better every day. So with me, this is the greatest time in history to be alive. And so we need to look at it that way. So the third lesson I've learned in my life is sometimes your biggest fan is someone that's new in your life, right? It's someone you've just gotten to know, or someone who is admiring you from afar. We get that all the time. And sometimes our closest friends are our biggest detractors. Isn't that amazing? Sometimes the people that are closest to us are the ones that are our biggest detractors. I don't know why that is, but you know, God is going to put in your life someone who's going to be your balcony person and be your biggest fan and encourage you. I'm certainly going to be that for you, but there'll be many of those. But just remember that sometimes your biggest fan, your biggest encourager, your biggest edifier is going to be someone who's new to your life, who is looking at you from afar. Can anybody relate to that? Anybody relate to that? I remember playing sports and playing with guys who were jealous of me, you know, because they were vying for a position on the team too. And so you just have to realize all that. And so what is your reaction? Be the best you can be and just show them kindness, right? I find that people, and I don't like to use the word, somebody told me the word was haters, and I don't like to use that word. People, I call them detractors. And my thing is, you know, there's room for everybody to be successful. And when somebody, I feel like somebody's a detractor to me, I always say, how can I be a blessing to you? How can I help you? You know, how can I help you be or do what you want to do? And it just diffuses everything. So just remember that sometimes your biggest fan is someone who is looking at you from afar and wanting to be a part of your life. The fourth thing I've realized in my life is that pain, P-A-I-N, pain, affords people change. See, I had to go through painful things in my life to get in the position in my life that God wanted me to be. And so it also, pain in your life also makes you stronger and it makes you real, right? When you realize it's not about you, and when you realize that it's not you doing it and it's not you in control, then you can, as I like to say, let the pigeons go and just be real and be you, right? And you can take time out of your lunch break to talk to a little guy like Jay and encourage him along the way, right? And so the pain that I've experienced in my life has made me stronger, has forced me to change, to do some things differently, and has made me look at things differently in people, right? And so if you have things that are painful in your life, it's just it's the enhancements going on in your life to make you the best person you can be. Can you guys relate to that? Let me see a head shake or something, right? A thumbs up, right? All right. So that's the fourth thing. Pain helps people change, and it makes them stronger, and it makes them real. The fifth thing I want to share with you guys today, and I don't know, God gave me this late last night to share this with y'all today. Never expect to get from someone back what you give, right? Not everyone has your heart. And for the longest time, my wife says, you know, you're just a giver and a giver and a giver. And God gave me my wife to temper my giving, but I love to give. And sometimes I get to the point where I've given all I can give in a day, and I get a little discouraged because I'm not receiving it, right? And my wife looks at me and she says, you just keep on giving because you don't need to receive, right? And it's amazing how that works, because you never should expect to get back what you give, is my point. Let me tell you, when someone comes up to me and the Holy Spirit leads me to give them money, if they want to borrow money and the Holy Spirit leads me to give them money, as a rule, I don't do it. But when I do it, I just figured I gave them the money and I'll never see it again. And that lets me be free. You know, that removes any hard feelings. You know, what I've learned is your family will not want to be involved in what you do sometimes, or help you do what you do sometimes, or take advantage of what you do sometimes. But they'll be the first ones that want you to help them or give to them in a time of need. And so my answer to that is just love them anyway, and be a blessing, all right? And so never expect to get back what you've given. See, God will give you back. He will give you back 100-fold, but you don't expect that individual to give you back, because that'll keep you all bound up. If you gave it to them and you gave it to them with a good heart, just forget about it, bless them and go on. And so I remember, I'll tell you how God gives back. I remember I went to a church meeting where this missionary spoke, and he was dealing with an orphanage in South America. And man, it really touched my heart. I mean, it really touched my heart. And so I went home and I thought about that thing all night. I tossed and turned and tossed and turned. I got up and I took a shower the next morning, and I felt like I heard the voice say, I want you to take X amount of money in a check to the church right now. And so I went downstairs, I got my checkbook, I wrote the check out. I didn't make it out to the church, but I wrote the check out, and I went to the church office and I walked in and I said, that missionary that was here last night, I want to give him a gift, but I haven't made my check out yet because I want to make sure he gets all of this. Right? And they said, yes, sir, Mr. Land, we'll be glad to take it, and he'll get every penny of it. I said, you promised me that, right? I said, this has really been a burden on me since listening to him last night. Yeah, I'm gonna give every penny to him. And so I went on. I had done that, man. I felt so good about doing what I thought was right and the right thing to do, giving. About 3 weeks later, I get this handwritten letter. About 3 weeks later, I get this handwritten letter from the missionary. He said, Mr. Land, God used you in a powerful way. You will never know how much that contribution meant to us. It was exactly the amount of money we needed to keep our orphanage going. I got cold chills right now. And I said, oh my goodness, what a blessing. And so I kept that letter, and I treasured that letter, and I kept it several more days, and I would read it again and read it again. And I was just thanking God and praising him for using me in just that little way. And then I went to my post office box to check my mail at the US Post Office. And as I opened the post office box, there was a letter to me from a roommate that I had that I played ball with. Now, this is a person that I had given a large sum of money to help him out of a situation, giving me, and he never paid me back, right? So I opened this envelope from this friend, and in the envelope was a handwritten letter. He says, I don't know what's going on in your life, but God has been so heavily weighing on me to pay you back what I owe you. Here's a check for $5,600 or whatever as a part of what I owed you. And you know, that was exactly the same amount of money I gave the missionary.
Wow. That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
That is
You
so
see,
amazing.
when you give with a pure heart and God leads you to give with a pure heart, don't worry about the reward. God sees your gift in secret and he'll reward in secret. Isn't that amazing? And people need to be encouraged. Hey, be a giver. I walk down the street and there's a guy begging. I give him $5. I give him $10. I don't even think about it. You know why? After I give that money, it's between him and God. I've done what I've been led to do, right? And so I'm never bitter about giving, and I'm never worn out about giving anymore, because I understand the perspective of the 100-fold blessing, right? God said he would give us back 100-fold return. And that's what we should expect. So never expect to get back what you give in the way that you expect it to get back, because sometimes it comes back to you in the supernatural. Sometimes it comes back to you in a way that you just say, wow, after I got that check from my roommate, I sat down on the bench at the post office and I said, man, nobody but God could make this happen, right? So it's pretty powerful. The sixth thing I want to share with you, life lesson, is it sometimes in life, you know, we just got to realize that we're human, that we're going to make mistakes. I don't know of anybody in life that I know who hasn't made mistakes. And if you know somebody who hasn't, I'd like for you to introduce me to them, because, you know, they're some kind of human being, You know what I'm saying? But I don't know of anybody who's walking on the earth who hasn't made some mistakes in life. Would y'all agree with that? And so what we got to do is that when you realize you made a few mistakes, you just realize you're human. That's what humans do, right? And so you need to forgive yourself and keep going. And a lot of times we keep reliving those mistakes, and that's not what we're supposed to do. We learn from them and move on. Does that make sense to you guys? Anybody ever relive their mistakes and beat themselves up? I have, right? And so what I have learned to do is I have learned to forget it. I'm forgiven, move on, right? And you're going to make mistakes because you're human. And I, for one, am not going to condemn you for your mistakes. I'm going to encourage you. There's a blessing in the mistake you just made, right? Number 7, the last one, is forget your past. So many people, their past, causes them angst. And I'm telling you, there's no future in the past. Just forgive it. All right. Forgive yourself. God's forgiven you. You forgive yourself. I've made so many mistakes in my life. I can't even count them all. But I know that I've done that to learn, and I know that I've forgiven myself, and I know that I'm a better person for it. And when you can think that way, you can be free. See, so many people aren't free because they're still living in their past, right? So forget it. There's no future in the past. Was this helpful to you guys today? Is this helpful? Let me tell you a story then, if this is really helpful. One time there was this bird flying, and it was cold. He was frozen, so cold, little bird, and he fell to the ground in a pasture. And he was freezing. And all of a sudden, a cow comes walking by and drops a big pile of dung on top of the bird. And after a while, the bird said, "Oh my goodness, I'm warming up. This feels pretty good." Lying there in that pile of dung, right? This feels pretty good. And all of a sudden the bird started chirping and making noise, and he was happy. And all of a sudden the cat comes walking by, and he heard the bird chirping, and he digs under the pile of dung and finds the bird, and he eats the bird. And so what's the moral of that story? Not everyone who drops dung on you is your enemy. Number 2, not everyone who gets you out of your dung is your friend. And then the third lesson to learn is when you're in deep dung, keep your mouth shut. Don't chirp. I thought you guys would love that.
Oh, God, I'm gonna take that one. I'm gonna take that one home, Joseph. That's too much. Keep my mouth shut. That is gonna be my new theme. I love it.
Yeah, so many people are chirping in life, instead of being quiet and listening, they can't get a blessing because they're chirping. And it's so cool. I thought that was a great story, and it fit right in with my life lessons. So did y'all get the moral of the story, all 3 points? Y'all get them? Number 1, not everyone who dungs on you is your enemy. Number 2, not everyone who gets you out of your dung is your friend. Like in a business deal, when you're in deep weeds and somebody comes in to take you out, they're going to take advantage of you, right? Same with this cat eating this bird. And number 3, when you're in deep dung, keep your mouth shut. If your business is struggling and you're telling everybody, an investor who takes advantage of people in situations like that is going to clean your clock. So don't chirp. Just let God do the work. Let God provide. Find that person that God sent to you to help you get out of the mess, right? And so there's a lesson about the bird and the cow and the dung and the cat. So you remember that way. Anybody got anything to say about that?
Yes, I do. So when you are in Big Down and you speak about it, your words have a lot of power. So it will attract more of that. So it's really good to not make it a huge thing, but just keep your faith and keep going with what you know is true.
That's right, Bridget. Well said. Thank you for that. How about you, Jerry? I saw you about to split your sides.
I totally love the whole thing. You know, the keeping the mouth shut was the one that I think is certainly hitting home to me. You know, in Jesus Calling, I think it was yesterday, it talks about your troubles, and it talks about how, you know, every trouble that you have can be brought to Jesus, and you can live you know, in his presence with whatever comes up. So if you get the dung, you don't have to go, you know, lose who you are. You just got dunged upon. And I love the part that you know, sometimes that's not an enemy, you know, and that fits for me. You know, I have people want to give me feedback, and sometimes I'm not so responsive to that feedback because I have this imagination that the dung they're bringing me is not good. But the truth of it is, I need to keep my mouth shut and listen. So I got a lot out of it, Joseph.
I want y'all to write this down. The legendary football coach, Lou Holtz, he won a national championship at Notre Dame. He coached at South Carolina, where I'm from. He coached at Arkansas in a number of places, highly successful everywhere he went. Now, this is the chirping part I'm talking about now. He said, don't tell people your problems. He says, 99% of the people that you tell your problems to don't care, and they're glad you got them. So don't tell people your problem. Isn't that the truth? And so when I was struggling with my transportation company in an area, I would never talk about it to anybody inside my company. The only person that I would really talk about what I needed was the people that I knew would pray for me and had no idea about my business, because I knew something would happen in the supernatural for me. And Jimmy Gallant is a good one. Tracy is another one right here on this call. You know, people that you know can pray for you and pray for you the right way. So important, so important. But learning that lesson about talking. My mother told me. My mother was such a wise person, and she was the epitome of a godly woman. Here we were in a kind of a poor family, I guess, and she didn't work. My father worked in the mill, and invariably after dinner, when we had leftovers, she would take the card. She said she would tell me and my father, "I'll be right back," and she would take the leftovers to people who were shut-ins and couldn't get out to get their own food. And there was this one lady she would always take food to. And my mother would tell me, she said, "Son, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth so that you could listen twice as much as you talk." Isn't that great counsel? And when you see somebody in a business deal who's doing a lot of listening, and their eye contact with you is really strong, that's the person that knows what they're doing, right? If you have somebody in a business meeting that's doing all the talking and you can't get a word in sideways with them, they probably don't have the skill set that they think they do. That's just been my experience. So I want to tell y'all you want to hear another story? So I want to tell y'all another story when we get ready to hang up here. Any other comments? Any other comments? Rachel, how about you? You look so pretty today, Rachel.
Well, thank you. I'm pretty sure that's just God shining through me right now. So, comments. I think what you've said to us today is absolutely amazing. Number one is my favorite, being real, being humble, being kind. So many people in this world today with any sort of business, corporate business, life insurance business, any sort of business is not in good form in that way. Sorry, my camera's having issues. And to be able to just show the kindness and humbleness and realness of ourselves and what we believe in through our business just propels us forward so much more. And it's such a real thing and such a big deal to have.
That's exactly right. I want to take that, what you just said, number one, and I want to tell you an experience. And again, I never edify myself. Don't think this is edification, but when you've built several businesses, you have a reputation and people see you differently than you are if they don't know you, right? And so I had someone come to my office, my conference room, Rachel, and they sat down, and I never sit down with anybody by myself. I always have somebody sitting there. And they sat down with me and we talked and we talked and talked and they got up to leave and they said, Mr. Land? I said, yes. And they said, I want to pay you a compliment, but I want you to receive it I want to make sure you receive it that way. And I said, sure. Thank you. And he said, you are so disarming. You are so disarming. And I said, well, I think that's a compliment. Explain that to me. He said, I had no idea you would be so humble and so nice and so kind and warm to me. I pictured you completely different than you are. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
People have this preconceived idea of what you can be. And when you're real with them, you disarm them.
So that's something that I found with my life insurance and with my retirement planning is when you just sit down with them and just have an honest and open conversation instead of being all businessy and salesy. I mean, granted, yes, I have visuals and different things like that, but that's only when it's that time. And just sitting there and having a real conversation with real life things going on, it's just gets you so much further because people want to see a real person. They don't want to see another what my son calls an NPC. So I don't know what it stands for. Something like a non-issue type of person is what it is. So
right, that's right. Well, thank you for that, Rachel. It's always a pleasure. I enjoyed our call last week.
Yes.
And, thank you for your input, Tracy. I want to go to my dear friend Tracy. Tracy, why don't you give us your opinion of today's call a little bit?
I thought it was great because my brother and I, my brother's in Puerto Vallarta right now, and he just had back surgery. And he and I were chatting the other day about my dad, and my dad was a real man of God. He lived it. It would just exuded from him. And I can remember him saying what you said, Joseph, you don't need to tell people your problems, and you definitely don't need to tell them your successes either, because he said nobody will even go along with your successes except maybe your parents. He said sometimes your brothers and sisters don't. And that is something that he explained to us very kind of like, don't let the left hand know what the right hand's doing. So it was great today. I think that. And you're right. Being kind, loving people, just the two ears and one mouth. That is so true. Because I found I went into the doctor's office the other day, and there's a bunch of people sitting there, and they were angry because they were late. And I just started talking, and I can't even remember what I said, but everybody settled right down, got into the conversation. And the girl at the front desk, she said, thank you very much for that. But I think when you have the heart of God, and I've seen that so much in my father especially, you just do that. Because I can remember my dad going and just sitting, waiting for my mom while she was shopping, like he said, and she was shopping, always saving money because it was at a sale. But he would just sit and talk to the people on the bench beside him, you know, just talk to them. So I think there's so much people just need sometimes a good listening to. So thank you, Joseph. It was awesome. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you, Tracy. You're such a great advisor to me. I want to tell you, Tracy mentioned shopping and saving. I want to tell you, since Jennifer's not on a call today, I'm going to talk about her. All right. But anyway, one day Jennifer walked in the house and she had all these bags. And I looked at those bags and she knew I looked at them funny. And she says, I saved you a lot of money today. And I said, Jennifer, I said, I know that you think I'm not as smart as you, but you did not save me any money today. You spent money. Look at all that stuff you got in those bags. She said, oh no, if I'd have paid retail for it, it would have cost you a lot more money. I said, okay, I give up. You saved money today. Isn't that funny? But anyway, you got to laugh and you got to have fun. And that's what life's all about. But we have a lot of fun and I love you guys. I want you to hang on just a minute. I want to end the recording. Thank you for joining us today. And we'll see you next Monday here on the Ask Joseph Land Show.